Silence before salvation. Welcome to the Purim Perspective. The Purim Perspective is in honor of our homeland, Eretz Yisroel. May Kadosh Baruch Hu, may God continue to protect our brave soldiers, and may God return all the hostages from Gaza immediately. The Purim Perspective is in loving memory of Edward ben Efraim, Shlomo ben Edward, and Yirachmiel Daniel ben Gedalia. May their souls be uplifted, and may their memories be a blessing. The Chag of Purim, the holiday of celebration and joy. It is a time of happiness, unity, and victory. But beneath the surface, it is far more than just eating, drinking, and celebration. It is a time of immense spiritual power, when the gates of heaven are wide open, waiting for us to access them. The Megillah is not just an historical record, but a revelation of the divine providence, showing how God's hidden hand directs history in ways we do not immediately perceive. The story begins with King Ahasuerus' extravagant feast, celebrating what he believed was the failed prophecy of the Jewish people to return to their homeland. And he adorned his tables with the sacred and holy vessels of the Beis Hamikdash, desecrating what was once holy. Many Jews, despite recognizing this blasphemy, remained at the feast, eating, drinking alongside the other king's guests. And this disregard for holiness aroused God's anger, setting the stage for Haman's rise to power and his decree of total annihilation. Realizing the severity of the decree, Mordechai HaTzadik acted swiftly, rallying the Jewish people to repent. And he understood that this crisis was not merely political, but spiritual. The decree was not a random act of hatred, but a consequence of their disconnection from God, and therefore their salvation would only come through their renewed faith and unity. Mordechai HaTzadik gathered 22,000 children to study Torah and pray, transforming the narrative from a spiritual downfall to a spiritual renewal. And their voices shattered the heavens, awakening the divine mercy and setting the stage for Queen Esther's courageous mission. Among the many questions on the Megillah, one stands out. Why did Queen Esther wait until the second feast to ask King Ahasuerus to save the Jewish people? When she risked her life by approaching and entering his throne room uninvited, she already secured his favor. Why then didn't she immediately plead for her people? Was this a deliberate strategy, or was there a deeper reason for her decision? Why did she wait until the second feast when every moment counted towards their salvation? To answer this question, we look at Jewish history and realize that the greatest salvation have come through the faith and intuition of a righteous Jewish woman. Their spiritual insight, their unwavering devotion to Kadosh Baruch Hu have shaped our redemptions itself. From Miriam Hanaviah, Moshe Rabbeinu's sister, foreseeing the salvation and leading the Jewish people in song and dance by the crossing of the Sea of Reeds, to Esther Hamalka, to Queen Esther orchestrating the victory of Purim, the Jewish women have stood at the heart of our nation's destiny. And these holy women did not merely respond to events. They shaped the future with courage, faith, and the strength to act at the right moment. The Talmud in Megillah explains that Esther's decision to wait was not hesitation, it was wisdom. She knew that some victories are not won through immediate action, but through patience, faith, and divine timing. By waiting, she ensured that her words were not only heard, but acted upon decisively. Her delay was not inaction, heaven forbid. It was a calculated step to let God's plan take shape. The Medrash Rabbah on the Megillas Esther explains that during that very night, Ahasuerus had restless sleep, leading him to discover that Mordechai, who saved his life, was the very man that Haman sought to destroy, and he has never been rewarded. At the same time, Haman HaRasha's arrogance, his cruelty reached its peak, and convinced of his power, he allows gallows to be built for Mordechai, unaware that the next evening he would be the one hanging from them. Had Esther spoken at the first feast, Haman's influence would have been too strong. But by waiting, she allowed God to orchestrate events so that Ahasuerus would begin doubting Haman on his own accord. Waiting is often harder than acting. But Esther knew that patience is not a weakness, it is a sign of confidence. She understood that rushing into the request at the wrong moment could weaken its impact. And by holding back, she ensured that when she finally spoke, her words carried undeniable weight. She was no longer just a queen pleading for her life. She was revealing a carefully built truth that Ahasuerus could no longer ignore. Esther's profound strategy teaches us a powerful lesson. True leadership is not about controlling events, it's about guiding them. She did not force the king to act, she led him to reach the right conclusion on his own. Instead of making demands, she positioned events so that the king would see Haman for who he truly was. And her brilliance lay not just in knowing what to say, but when to say it. And obviously in our days, on October 7th, 2023, the future seemed bleak for Israel and Jews worldwide. In a single day, families were slaughtered, thousands were wounded, and entire communities were torn apart. Terrorists stormed across the border, murdering, burning, and kidnapping indiscriminately. Innocent men, women, and children were dragged into the tunnels of Gaza. Some, Baruch Hashem, thank God, have returned, while others have come home in coffin. Many still remain in the tunnels in Gaza, and their fate is unknown as we demand their redemption. But now, 16 months later, the world is unrecognizable. The entire security dynamic of the Middle East has shifted. The greatest threats to Israel have been dismantled. Regimes that once funded terror now scramble for survival. Dictatorships that posed existential dangers have collapsed, and the military victories once thought impossible have reshaped Israel's deterrence. The battlefield extends beyond Gaza, reaching Tehran, Damascus, Beirut. And what seemed unimaginable on October 7th is now unfolding. A reality where Israel is not merely surviving, it is redefining the Middle East. Could we have imagined this outcome on October 7th? Just as Esther could not foresee how the twists and turns would lead to Haman's downfall, we could not perceive the hidden hand of God acting in every single moment. And yet, history has shown us time and time again what appears to be a devastation can in time be revealed as the groundwork for transformation. The very struggles that test our faith are sometimes the catalyst that shape our redemption. In the chaos of uncertainty, God is not absent. He is setting the stage for our ultimate redemption. And the lesson from Esther's unwavering faith is that while we must act with wisdom and courage, true redemption unfolds in God's time. It is not human effort alone that shapes our destiny, but our willingness to align with God's divine plan. And our role is to strengthen holiness in our lives, deepen our faith, uphold mitzvahs, revealing God's hand in our physical world. And when we live with faith and trust in God, His presence fills our lives, drawing us ever closer to the final redemption. The Megillah states, La Yehudim haisa oira v'simcha v'sasan v'yikar, and the Jewish people experienced and enjoyed light, gladness, joy, and honor. May we experience the same light, happiness, joy, and honor as our world fills with godliness and His presence finally being revealed with the third Beis HaMikdash and the coming of Mashiach. Have a joyous and meaningful Purim.
Chayavin ish li visumei